Good afternoon. Please join me in welcoming to the floor the Hofstra University class of 2024. Good evening. I am Charlie Reardon, and I have the privilege of serving as Provost and welcoming you to Hofstra University's Spring 2024 Graduate Commencement Exercises for the Hofstra College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, School of Humanities, Fine and Performing Arts, and the School of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, the Frank G. Zarb School of Business, the Fred DeMattis School of Engineering and Applied Science, the Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing and Physician Assistant Studies, the School of Education, the School of Health Professions and Human Services, and the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication. Now, as part of the foundation of our ceremony today, we gratefully acknowledge the Native peoples on whose ancestral homes we gather, as well as the diverse and vibrant Native communities who make their home here and throughout the state of New York today. We take a moment to recognize the original inhabitants of this territory, indigenous land, which we acknowledge as sacred territory, as the land of many tribes, including the Matinecock, Merrick, and Massapequa in the miles around us. And now we begin our program with the invocation delivered by Father John Crozier, followed by the national anthem led by Jade Villa, class of 2024. Everyone please stand as you are able.
Let us pray. God, our Father, we give you thanks for gathering us together this evening to celebrate the academic achievements of this graduating class of 2024. We celebrate their capacity for creativity, for their critical thinking, and their focused effort throughout their time as a student of Hofstra University. We are extraordinarily grateful for their families, administrators, teachers, and staff who have supported them throughout their studies and their academic pursuits here. Bless these graduates and their families this evening, that as they celebrate their achievements with joy, they may continue to pursue the truth in your love in every future endeavor. We ask this in the name of God, who is always loving, present, and true. Amen.
Thank you so much, Jade. Please be seated. Now performing our alma mater is the Hofstra Vocal Ensemble, accompanied by the Hofstra University Commencement Band, conducted by David Soto, Adjunct Associate Professor of Music and Director of the bands. The words in the alma mater are found on the inside cover of your program.
unrivaled motivation, invaluable and true. Selfless with thy knowledge and vision to pursue. All the lands we journey, thou shalt remain our home. Dear Hofstra, we are grateful, and thus we thank thee for inspiring us and guiding us through all the great unknown. Oh, hail the
I now have the pleasure of introducing some very special guests, beginning with the chair of the Hofstra University Board of Trustees, Mr. Donald Schaefer. I'm also very pleased to introduce the Hofstra University Deans. Deans, please stand as you are introduced, and please remain standing until all the deans have been introduced, and I ask we hold the applause till the end of the deans' introductions. Reginald Alston, School of Health Professions and Human Services. Eva Badowska, Hofstra College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, which includes the Calico School of Government, Public Policy, and International Affairs, the School of Humanities and Performing Arts, and the School of Natural Sciences and Mathematics. David Battinelli, Donald and Barbara Zucker School of Medicine at Hofstra Northwell. Warren Frasina, Stuart and Nancy Rabinowitz Honors College. Gerda Kambarova, Professor and Chair, Department of Computer Science, representing the Fred DeMattis School of Engineering and Applied Science. Julian Koo, Maurice A. Deane School of Law. Kevin Kumashiro, School of Education. Janet Lenahan, Frank G. Zarb School of Business. Mark Lukashevitz, Lawrence Herbert School of Communication. Renee McLeod-Sorgen, Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing and Physician Assistant Studies. Please join me in welcoming all of the deans. We're also joined by Hofstra's vice presidents, vice provosts, and senior administrators, which I'm pleased to recognize in a group, and more importantly, pleased to recognize them as fantastic colleagues and dear friends. And it's now my pleasure to welcome to the podium Hofstra University's extraordinary president, Susan Poser.
Well, congratulations to the class of 2024, and welcome to Hofstra University's commencement. I want to give a special welcome to all of the parents, families, and friends who are joining us this evening, and to our commencement speaker and honorary degree recipient, Dr. Holden Thorpe, who will be more formally introduced in a few moments. This is a great day for you, a great day for Hofstra, and a great day for the family and friends that surround you here. To our graduates, today probably feels like an end of something big, and of course it is. Attaining a graduate degree is a great achievement and indicates that you've come through a time of intense learning in a specialized field in order to prepare for your chosen career. I'm confident that on the way you have worked with outstanding faculty, found mentors, and made new friends. So this commencement marks the end of a very distinct time in your lives. The idea of commencement is not just an ending, of course. The word itself signifies a beginning, a time to commence, time to take your experience at Hofstra and begin again as you move into your careers. As you do this, you will take with you a world-class education that you will apply in creative and productive ways as you build your career. I hope that as you do this, as you chart the course for your future, you will always keep in mind the importance of service. Some of you have chosen careers that by definition will result in service. And here, of course, I'm speaking about the teachers and the nurses and the counselors and the physician assistants sitting out there. Others have chosen fields that may be less directly tied to individual and community service. But to all of you, regardless of your degree, I urge you to take your expertise beyond the confines of your job. And remember that your special expertise can always be used to help others, whether it is volunteering in schools or clinics after hours, or helping low-income community members with their taxes, or marketing their small businesses. I also hope that the political, cultural, and civic engagement that is a hallmark of Hofstra University will continue to be an important part of your future. Our collective future as a country and a world depends on this. So on behalf of Hofstra University, I promise you that we will always be your university, and we will continue to support you. Like you, we will continue to grow in strength and in reputation, enhancing the value of your degree. We will always strive to make you proud, just as you have and will continue to make us proud. After all, one way to measure the greatness of a university is by the success and the humanity of its alumni, and you are all now part of that legacy. So again, my heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2024. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming Donald Schaefer, Chair of the Hofstra University Board of Trustees, to offer a special greeting and to introduce his candidate for a Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Thank you, Provost Reardon. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to congratulate the class of 2024 on your graduation. We welcome you, your family, and friends to this celebration of your academic achievement. We are proud of you and all your accomplishments. You have faced obstacles and you have persevered. You have displayed grit as well as grace. You have been leaders as well as learners. We applaud the bright path that you have set for yourselves and for those who will follow. Starting today, Hofstra becomes your alma mater, the place you went to graduate school. But today, you are not leaving Hofstra. You will always be a part of the enduring bond of the Hofstra family, the Hofstra pride. And this campus will always be home to you. We look forward to sharing with you your next chapters as graduates in pursuit of your careers and as alumni of Hofstra University. Congratulations again, class of 2024. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Holden Thorpe, Editor-in-Chief of Science Magazine and the Science Family of Journals, and Professor of Chemistry at the George Washington University. Dr. Thorpe joined the Science Journals in 2019 after serving as provost at Washington University in St. Louis. He previously spent 3 decades at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he served as the 10th chancellor from 2008 to 2013. Dr. Thorpe co-founded Viamet Pharmaceuticals, is a venture partner at Hatteras Venture Partners, and serves on the board of directors at PBS, the College Advisory Corps, and St. Louis University. Additionally, he serves on the scientific advisory boards of the Yale School of Medicine and the UL Research Institutes. He is also co-author of 2 books on higher education. Dr. Thorpe holds a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the University of North Carolina and a PhD in Chemistry from the California Institute of Technology. He completed postdoctoral work at Yale University. and is a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, the National Academy of Inventors, and the American Association for the Advancement of Science. I now invite our candidate for an honorary degree, Dr. Holden Thorpe, to step forward along with President Poser and Provost Reardon to confer the degree. President Poser, in honor of Dr. Holden Thorpe's achievements, leadership, and advocacy, it is my honor to present him to you as a candidate for the Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa.
The Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa is awarded by Hofstra University to honor exceptional individuals for their outstanding career achievements. Dr. Holden Thorpe, it is my privilege to bestow upon you the Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa in recognition of your professional accomplishments, leadership in higher education, and your efforts to advance health and life sciences. Congratulations.
Thank you, and wow! Hello, Hofstra! Congratulations, graduates. Are you excited? Education seems to be cheering the loudest. I'm so excited you're here. You're all living proof that it's possible to survive being forced to do part of your education on a computer in your parents' basement. You've endured a lot to get here in a very troubled world. Pandemic, international conflict, divisive politics, and not one, but two of the hottest years on record. Not to mention having to comment on your classmates' assignments on endless discussion boards. I agree with your statement. Have you ever thought about this? It's such a great learning experience, isn't it? Yeah. And everywhere you looked, tulips. Acres and acres of tulips. You had so many ideas about other ways to spend that money. Like maybe just fly everyone to Holland. Thank you for including me today. It is such an honor to be your speaker and to have a Hofstra degree just like you. My high school English teacher, Mrs. Wilmers, would be stunned to find out that I was a Doctor of Humane Letters. She didn't think I cared about anything except chemistry and calculus. I will certainly wear it with pride, and I will try as hard as I can to wear it with purpose. So graduation speeches usually have 3 points. Here we go. I don't think I can stand in front of this many students and not mention the fact that we are in a mental health crisis among young people. As many as 50% of college and graduate school age students have sought mental health services. That's a lot of people here today who are hurting. And I can understand why anyone would be struggling given all that's going on in the world, and especially with the stress of graduate school. I think the biggest reason for the crisis is that we're all trying to live in a society that has clung to an outdated and biased idea of what it means to be normal that most of us can't conform to. You may notice that my hand movements and the lack of modulation in my vocal tone are a little unusual. That's because I have a form of autism that we used to call Asperger's syndrome. Experts are still debating what we should call it now, and lots of famous and successful people have had this diagnosis. But far more autistic people with this diagnosis, and who had autism but were never diagnosed and therefore never given the supports that they needed and deserved, were much less fortunate, sometimes requiring constant care and exhibiting much higher rates of anxiety and depression than the general population. And that's partly because, particularly in some sectors of society, our awkward traits come with significant stigma. As an autistic person, I have the greatest admiration for the MBAs who had to do so many excruciating group projects. For me, that would be all 9 circles of hell. Now, one reason I'm telling you this is so you know that if you have mental health struggles of your own, you can still be the speaker at Hofstra graduate commencement one day. In fact, all of us up here in our robes with our fancy degrees may look completely together, but every one of us had challenges just like you may be having. My colleague at George Washington University, Roy Richard Grinker, has made the case that we all have some degree of many conditions. The title of his book is Nobody's Normal. It's fun to think of a day when we could accept that nobody's normal and stop messing around with all these labels. After all, we will all face hardships in life, physical and mental. So even if you think you are normal, please remember that nobody's normal forever. And if you're not struggling right now, hug someone who is. Always a good idea. For too long, academia has failed to achieve a workforce that represents the people it serves. Many of you probably never had a professor who looked like you. That must be very lonely. It's an unacceptable and systemic failure of the academy. I'm sorry. And not only does it let you down, but it also lets the world down. Discovery is a messy human process that converges on the truth. And these messy humans are all subject to motivated reasoning that causes us to sometimes find things we are looking for that aren't there. If everyone has the same background, those biases are amplified. But if teams bring different backgrounds to their work, they'll have different biases and will converge on the truth faster. It matters who creates knowledge. We are facing perhaps the greatest test now with artificial intelligence, because AI produces outcomes that are a function of how it is programmed and what data are used to train it. If the programmers and the data don't represent all people, instead of building machines that level the playing field and make life better for all, we're going to end up building machines that maintain the status quo and only make life better for the folks who are already doing well. Now, not all of you will be doing research when you leave here, but many of you will. And those of you who aren't are going to be in professions where you will be producing knowledge of some kind. And guess what? You are going to make mistakes. Not because of incompetence or malice, but because you're human. You'll be working on things that are really hard. And you may be on teams that don't have enough different perspectives. It should be okay to make mistakes and correct them. but we live in a gotcha culture that makes that harder than it needs to be. Right now in scientific research, there is a parade of news stories in the national media about mistakes in science and scientific research. These stories are full of drama and finger pointing. It doesn't need to be like that. Science is a work in progress. It is updated all the time. But investigators, institutions, funders, and yes, prestigious journals drag their feet and worse, which makes it easy for the newspapers to play up the dramatic. There's an easy solution to this. Quickly admit when we're wrong. Correction is courageous. That goes for everyone, not just the folks who have less power. Blaming the graduate student or postdoc for research misconduct just makes all this worse. Instead, everyone involved should take responsibility, especially the powerful investigators, institutions, and journals. When that happens, there is very little drama. Now, fortunately, we're going a long way towards all these goals today because all of you are graduating. Look at all these scholars. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, I didn't do original research. Am I a scholar? Hell yes, you are a scholar. Because you studied original ideas and thought about how they apply to the world. And you're about to get a piece of paper with a bunch of academically pretentious signatures on it that makes it official. And whatever you decide to do next, it doesn't take away the fact that you are now, and officially, a scholar for life. Walter Massey was a theoretical physicist who went on to be the first black director of the National Science Foundation, the president of Morehouse College, and much more. He could have had a great career sticking to theoretical physics. But when he saw Martin Luther King murdered, he knew he needed to do more for the country. He stopped doing physics and started leading important institutions. But he never stopped being a scientist. He told the New York Times that if you ask him today who he is now at age 85, he'll say, I'm a physicist. And I don't say, I used to be. The same goes for all of you. You represent your fields from here on. Now, some of this talk about changing the world that always shows up at graduations might make you feel uneasy. Some of you might not have your grand plan worked out. If that's the case, you're right on schedule. Most of you who do have a plan are going to change it multiple times. So don't worry if you don't have it all figured out yet. And remember that whatever you do next, it's the right thing if it's what you want. Try to tune out what your parents and advisors think you want. They don't know everything that you know about what's right. So that's my talk. Nobody is normal. Representation is required. Correction is courageous, and only you can decide what to do now. With these ideas and the fantastic education you've gotten, you're ready for anything. And remember, no matter what life throws at you, there's one thing you can always cling to. You will never have to find parking for a 4:30 class again. Congratulations to Hofstra University.
thank you, Holden, for those very authentic reflections for our graduates. Now the part of the program you've all been waiting for. Will the candidates for the Master of Science, Master of Arts, Master of Science in Education, Master of Health Administration, Master of Business Administration, and Master of Public Health degrees and advanced certificates please stand? President Poser, I have the honor to present those candidates from the Zarb School of Business, the Herbert School of Communication, the DeMatteis School of Engineering and Applied Science, the School of Health Professions and Human Services, the Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing and Physician Assistant Studies, the School of Education, the School of Humanities, Fine and Performing Arts, and the School of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, who have completed all of the requirements for the master's degree and advanced certificates. I join with the faculty and the deans of our schools and colleges in recommending that you confer the appropriate degree upon these candidates.
Graduates, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Hofstra University and the regents of the state of New York, and upon recommendation of the provost and your deans and faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science, Master of Arts, Master of Science in Education, Master of Health Administration, Master of Business Administration, or Master of Public Health degrees and advanced certificates as appropriate. You are now entitled to all of the rights, privileges, and opportunities afforded by your degree. Our heartiest congratulations.
Will the graduates please step forward to be recognized by President Poser and your dean? As you cross the stage, your names will be read by Brian Killigary, Senior Associate Dean, the Frank G. Zarb School of Business, Stephen Constantinople, Professor of Mathematics in the Hofstra College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Jackie Kuhn, the Senior Associate Dean in the School of Health Professions and Human Services, and Anthony Porcelli, the Senior Assistant Dean, Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing and Physician Assistant Studies.
Graduates of the Hofstra College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Anthony Joseph France. Daniel Lee. Intishar Chowdhury. Jamie Baskin. Joseph Prinzavali. Brandon Salzberg. Yeshia Mafaria. Nicole Varghese. Julia Mace. Emma Sutkin. Florenza Wong. Renee Mania. Marissa Anderson. Madison Storms. Amanda Pietrofesso. Sarah Leibowitz. Matthew Camerata. James Heinig. Destiny Vera. Malika Verghese. Yako Fritz. Racina Rakumar. Lena Samad. Son Pham. Kyle O'Carroll. Maurizio Polanco Garcia. Sandipan Ganguly. Jason Lima. Grant Lattery. Tyler Kalfers. Athena Schleinpert. Melissa DiGregorio. Grace Cocazo. Madeline Williams. Fabian Leja. Matthew Abajian. Nicole Albanese. Matthew Castanava. Vijay Chirian. Katie Sutherland. Thaddeus Moriarty. Celeste Naraja. Cassidy Fowler. Charles Sturgeruvian. Viviana Grigware. Mark Cook. Patrick McKenna. Dudley Noel. Fabine Chubb. Jennifer Plum. Daniel Nogoid.
Emily Matishak. Avery Galerkin. Isabella Correa. Catherine Funk. Josie Ann Ladoucer. Quinn Burgard. Graduates of the School of Education. Daniela Joyce. Jessica Hoplasky. Sydney Mendolia. Gabrielle Romano. Cameron Tommy. Hannah McDonald. Alyssa Amatulli. Taylor Mignanelli. Jordan McDonnell. Brianna Brown. Daniel Herchett. Gina Miller. Erin Wade. Annie Good. Naneth Dominguez. Julie Chong. Ariel Goldfarb. Pooja Mahesh. Lauren Quinn. Jennifer Racklaw. Marissa Mann. Alina Whitaker. Edwin Alfredo Malera, Jr. Benjamin Rodriguez. Lisa Martin. Christy Spinaris. Lauren Canayasiel. Amanda Hudson. Kevin Checheka. Nicolette Rolino. Evan Shortino. Avery Lugares. Jennifer Cooney. Sarah Schwartz. Aiden Morin. Jack Goldstein. Sarah Nicole Marino. Olivia Grillo. Gurpreet Kaur. Lorenzo Ruiz. Angelique Robertson. Sarah Grossman. Alicia Testaverde. Olivia DeSanto.
Rebecca Ditzel. Carly Steffen. Mary Conroy. DeBellis Vasquez. Jasmine Chu. Olivia Cohen. Gillespie Kispe. Michelle Caruso. Michaela. Jenna Koretsky, Alexandra Garrison, Samantha McPherson, Colleen Finn, Victoria Barbudo, Gianna Montano, Gianni Shen, Destiny Laws, Lauren Aronoff, Claudia Modica, Mona Slayman, Denise Tessapanta, Patricia McLoyne, Meredith Cass, Timothy Jobson, Stephen Lipsky, Stefan Schickling, Preston Hulse, Alyssa Lore, Kelly Schlittenhart, Krisky Kaczynski, Brendan Mallon, Sean Cannon, Samantha Maggio, Catherine Fiola, Cynthia Ramos, Kathleen DeVries, Jennifer Watford Caesar, Jaylene Murray, graduates of the Frank Zarb School of Business, Raghavendra Swathi Rao, Sai Gopal Rathod, Jenny Wu, Anne Marie George, Monica Konda, Umira Fatima Riaz, Harakasi Yarlagada, Richard James, Ashish Perukari, Jason Sethna, Brandon Warshall, Kay May, Xiaokong Zhang, Brandon Small,
Gabrielle Salesa, Elizabeth Eisenberg, Famir Dar, Zachary Fink, Kyle Dugan, Ashley Sullivan, Christopher Kessner, Justin Hoyle, Nicolette Camardi, Laura Friel, Christopher Blalock, John Iameti, Rose Perlman, Mitchell Fiejo, Jake Yablansky, Rainier Varghese, Ryan Kennedy, Antonio DeMeo, Zunaid Noor Alam, Jesnaib Jamil, Shruti Savant, Ashana Amar Kanadaya, Ashley Jacob, Yasas Rao Betu, Hemant Sakaru, Robert Siegler, Samantha Reuter, Taran Cardone, Jamie Chavez, Hamad Al-Zaidan, Joseph Cho, Daniela Rodriguez Perez, Hekmat Alizai, Yegevni Katz, Toby Alexandria Okalawan, Umundi Bachimid,
Thatcha Samban, Perudian Linguantharmanan, Refki Futuroy. Jaijun K. Christina Rovas. Dominique Durant. Noah Gruder. David Ferrerio. Michael Filoso. James Lombardi. Olivia DiPietro. Jennifer Showing. Chandan Trivedi. Michael Cardinal. Jennifer Asante. Cooper Erickson. Jari Tian. Nicholas Martella. Achiet Dasgupta. Malik Mendez. Patrick Carpenter. Usman Ahmed. Marcos Dimitrades. Darren Schwartz. Han Oyang. Kenneth Fayella. Jordan Kurjic. Simone Schwartzman. Lauren Coletti. Taylor Manella. Ashlyn McDonald. Margot McCormack. Ryan Rue. Bryce Washington. Tasia Brown. Fariza Juman. Dominic Alterio. Zachary Toki. Joshua Pepe. Madison Nicole Foley. Jonathan Lee. Matthew DeFelice. Shivajit Roy. Faizan Ali. Nikita Hiran Yoshi. Hirikesh Manoj Parmar. Nimme Manish Shah. Dhruval Patel. Olawole Olawafasole. Tulawomi Olafasolaye. Devinashi Drenbrabi Patel. Camilla Polo. Natrisha Lachman. Faria Tanzneem. Mira Gore.
Francesca Pershad. Jordan Hurley. Zaiwei Wang. Shija Lee. Manuel Santiago Rodilla. Sharia Mahanajan. Menev Bhatia. Matthew Zimmerman. Mohammed Maz. Bumir Ankramar Raval. Sachin Altimar Shah. Viraj Mahendra Kella. Nelchika Therasens. Allison Mendez. Kaylee Welch. A. U. Joey Chen. Pratik Shetty. Graduates of the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication. Matthew Marsh. Grant Reyes Guerra. Jeannie Ripley Greer. Juliana Iovino. Jacqueline Cater. Elisa Leanne Salgado. Clary Sorrell Katia Ineza. Aliyah Solis Castillo. Raljamak Shami Raj. Ratish Pasala. Bader Hussein. Matab Marandi. Fatimi Moeen. Cody Mular. Graduates of the Fred DeMattis School of Engineering and Applied Science. Alyssa Pancho. Ricardo Lopez. Ida Colin. Michael Autorino. Siddharth Chowdhury. Mojawan Jafaripur. Farjana Rasad. Gina Shaw. Anthony Williams. Cynthia Zhao. Jordan Miner. John Ryland. Neil Shandell. Justin Dennis. Michelle Augustino. Mario Fasano. Danielle Golden. Anish Balganwan.
Graduates of the School of Health Sciences and Professions and Human Services. Rajamathangi Gounder. Kayla Sandy. Nicole Simmons. Abby Phillip. Carolyn Friedman. David Kelly. Michael Russo. Jasmine Mercado. Tracy Bailey. Thalia Kanai. Khadija Abu Kush. Giselle Foss. Carly Guder. Tessa Caricas. Valentina Rios. Haley Tarkin. Nicole Martolucci. Elizabeth Lipari. Catherine Morse. Amalia Kaluglu. Alyssa Lacasaglia. Julia Scagluso. Luis Rivas. Terrence Langrock. Stephanie Lubin. Abhikesh Marishi. Milton Thomas. Christine Magilla. Marin Koithara. Veni Thiruverkadu. Anissa Khan. Susanna Tenisella. Louis Behringer. Nicole Lair. Angelique Kinley. Jennifer Chacon. Brittany Spiteri, Natalia Mendoza Adame, Ken Jordan, Galib Albarazi, Preet Dhiren Shah, Matthew Lindeman, Ebu Sakin Koprulu,
Ashley Jalowski, Amber Del Moral, Can Brown, Latanya Tolusma, Melanie Moran, Elizabeth Kak, Cedia Portillo, Grace Sangstock, Anil Rudney, Gurnav Kang, Kabir Kabiria, Maha Alotabi, and the last? Victoria Adihai. Pinar Yawula Mabaya. Lovelyn Joy Agila. Himanshi Muskebi Nai. Ninjasi Dharmaish Babaria. Mansi Vindolabi Alagia. Pamela Valleos Alvarez. Odris Infante. Barath Subjaman. Michelle Wallace. John Carlos Pacheco. Ariel Goldson. Corinne Syrian. Aliyah Alawai. Elania Carmen. Andrea Sweeney. Justin Cohen. Brandy Thomas. Alex Ray Jimenez. Jada Ortak. Kulvendor Lal. Arfa Kadir. Shu Hao Fu. Elizabeth Mignano. Suna Kim. Brittany Belvete. Merrill Cooper. Callie Barker. Patrick Laverne. Monica Faltas. Mala Balakumar. Tiffany Jordan Anderson. Andrew Mastadwono. Trupti Shah. Aisha Khan. Danielle Ryan.
Brittany Salerno. Grace Ann Baldenko. Marissa Fox. Sarah Pierre. Aliyah Catanzanaria. Luis Pereira. Radha Badawala. Sarah Santizo Liz. Melissa Ruberti. Ariana Shavarian. Samantha Reyes. Marissa Amato. Rebecca Skoll. Gabriella Bianchino. Rachel Bergman. Rachel Ryle. Raquel Said. Janessa Marin. Jasenia Marin. Katie McDowell. Malaki Melani Kishpe. Angela Payton. Henson Chio. Caitlin McCleary. Catherine Going. Sadrak Sanatis. Michael Leandro. Joanna Yu. Brooke Urkus. Jessica Bellini. Jamie Kidenoff. Amy Zoidis. Christina Constianu. Sarah Husardis. Effie Zanarkis. Jamie Kishani. Juliana Klein. Katerina Fuchs. Lauren Toy. Rachel Tomasino. Samarta Kar Bartra. Nadir Zaran. Shu Shi Fang. Manish Reddy Mari. Shilplitha Murgu. Salma Sri Shatari. Congratulations, graduates.
Hofstra University proudly recognizes students who are graduating with distinction. These students have completed their studies with a minimum grade point average of 3.75. Will these students please rise to be recognized?
Will the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Psychology please stand? President Poser, I have the honor now to present to you these candidates who have satisfied all the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Psychology in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. I am pleased to join with the faculty in recommending that you confer the degrees of philosophy, a Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Psychology as appropriate upon these candidates.
Graduates, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Hofstra University and the regents of the state of New York, and upon recommendation of the provost and your dean and faculty, I am delighted to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Psychology as appropriate. You are now entitled to all of the rights, privileges, and opportunities afforded by your degree. Congratulations.
Will the candidates please come forward, accompanied by their doctoral advisor, to be introduced by Hofstra College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Vice Dean, Kristen Weingartner, to be hooded by their advisor and recognized by President Poser.
Hofstra College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Thomas Paul DePate. Dissertation title, Rejection Reflections, the Impact of Organizational Prestige and Social Identity Consciousness on Applicant Reactions. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Kevin Nolan. Dr. Jack Miller. Dissertation, Role Structure Complexity Within Multiple Team Membership, the Impact on Role Overload, Role Conflict, and Burnout in Leaders. Advisor, Dr. Rebecca Grossman. Dr. Julie Rachel Zeberg. The relationship among perception of parenting congruence, marital competence, forgiveness and gratitude, and marital satisfaction. Advisor, Dr. Paul Meller. Dr. Jane Schneider. Examining the effects of social skills on loneliness and friendship for adolescent girls with autism spectrum disorder. Advisor, Dr. Kimberly Gilbert. Dr. Alexa Teresa Protomakis, Empowered on the Spectrum, a positive psychoeducational group intervention for adolescents on the autism spectrum. Advisor, Dr. Kimberly Gilbert. Dr. Julia Kolodny Perlstein, Dyadic Coping and Couple Satisfaction for Parents with Autistic Children, a study for interdependent patterns. Advisor, Dr. Kimberly Gilbert. Dr. Alexandra Macchia, examining the association among partner expectations, partner support, effective partner communication, and marital satisfaction on marital burnout. Advisor, Dr. Paul Miller. Dr. Alania Korn, the differences in social emotional development between pre-COVID-19 lockdown and post-COVID-19 lockdown preschoolers. Advisor, Dr. Sergei Tsitsarev. Dr. Malka Jacobs, attitudes toward mental health treatment and assessment of Bukharian Jews. Advisor, Dr. Kimberly Gilbert. Dr. Alyssa Hopefeld, the efficacy of a trauma-informed psychoeducational parenting intervention in family treatment court respondents. Advisor, Dr. Paul Meller. Thank you. Dr. Carrie Lynn Christine Surdy, Harnessing the Power of Therapy Dogs for College Student Mental Health and Wellness. Advisor, Dr. Jeffrey Froh. Dr. Matthew Quinterno, The Influence of Specific Effects and the Facilitative Conditions on Authenticity. Doctoral Advisor, Dr. Jeffrey Froh. Dr. Victoria Cheyenne Phoenix, Beyond Struggle, Exploring Self-Compassion as a Coping Mechanism for Racial Stress in Black Women. Advisor, Dr. Jeffrey Froh. Dr. Angela Elizabeth Moyer, Keep It Simple, Coaching the Elementary School Leaders' Use of Behavioral Strategies to Promote Educator Well-Being. Dr. Jeffrey Froh, Advisor. Dr. Ari Himowitz, A Humble Narcissist, The Interaction of Leader Humility and Narcissism and Its Impact on Perceptions of Leadership. Advisor, Dr. Terry Shapiro. Dr. Jamie Erica Foreman, Talking Taklis, The Impact of Faith-Friendly Workplace on Jewish Employees. Advisor, Dr. Nicholas Salter. Dr. Ajem Demirli, Subjective Recovery and Future Self-Continuity in Individuals with Schizophrenia Receiving Inpatient Care. Advisor, Dr. Mark Serper. Dr. Ivy Retan Tran, Exploring Virtual Green Space Exposure on Anxiety Reduction in Individuals with Psychotic-like Experiences and a Trauma History. Advisor, Dr. Mitchell Scher. Thank you. Dr. Samantha Jankowski, The Relationship Between Probable PTSD and Psychosis-like Experiences. Advisor, Dr. Mitchell Scher. Dr. Brittany Jean Bonacera, Childhood Trauma and Emotion Regulation, the Roles of Alexithymia and Experience Avoidance in Emerging Adults. Advisor, Dr. Mitch Scher. Dr. Yisrael Dov Goldstein, The Impact of Brief Psychoeducation on Attitudes Related to Routine Outcome Monitoring. Advisor, Dr. Joseph Scartapane.
All right, let's get this right.
Thank you. Dr. Melvin Walker Jr., The Impact of an Enhanced Psychoeducation Intervention Influencing Treatment-Seeking Behaviors Among Suicidal Emerging Adults Observing Treatment Barriers. Advisor, Dr. William Sanderson. Dr. Zoe Elise Stout, An Examination of the Predictive Validity of the Repetitive Negative Thoughts Questionnaire. Advisor, Dr. William Sanderson. Dr. Antigone Philly, Investigating Profiles of Mindfulness Facets Associated with Psychotic-like Experiences. Advisor, Dr. Elizabeth Plorin. Dr. Jamie Sharnaroff, Feasibility and Effectiveness of a Brief Intervention for Priority Target Behaviors Using Targeted Child Direction Interaction Training. Advisor, Dr. Phyllis Orr. Dr. Vanessa Yiti Parent-Based Group Treatment for Childhood Selective Mutism, a pilot non-inferiority trial of supportive parenting for anxious childhood emotions. Advisor, Dr. Phyllis Orr. Dr. Elizabeth Sammy Lax, Self-Care with Mothers of Young Children, Examination of a Brief Intervention to Reduce Psychological Distress and Burnout. Advisor, Dr. Sarah Novak. Dr. Jia Hawala, The Impact of a Short-Term Self-Compassion Writing Intervention on Internalized Weight Stigma. Advisor, Dr. Sarah Novak. Congratulations, doctors.
Will the School of Education candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Education and Doctor of Philosophy please stand? President Poser, I have the honor now to present to you these candidates who have satisfied all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Education or Doctor of Philosophy in the School of Education. I am pleased to join with the faculty in recommending that you confer the degree Doctor of Education or Doctor of Philosophy as appropriate upon these candidates.
Graduates, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Hofstra University and by the Regents of the State of New York, and upon recommendation of the Provost and your Dean and faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Education or Doctor of Philosophy as appropriate. You are now entitled to all the rights, privileges, and opportunities afforded by your degree. Congratulations.
Will the candidates please come forward, accompanied by their doctoral advisor, to be introduced by Senior Associate Dean of the School of Education, Stacy Zalewski, to be hooded by their advisor and recognized by President Poser.
School of Education. Dr. Cornell Craig. Black students, white property. An exploration of Black students' experiences in private historically white institutions as extensions of whiteness as property. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Holly Syrup. Dr. Amanda Christina King. The construct and measures of teacher-student relationships from the student perspective in music education. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Bruce Torf. Dr. Gina Marie Espetti. The difference between spoken and sung story conditions on students' attention, behavior, and content recall in a special education setting. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Sage Rose. Dr. Tia Albig. The Age of Quiet Quitting. An examination of the predictive nature of hope related to the job engagement of educators. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Sage Rose. Dr. Paul Melkonian. The study abroad experiences of underserved high school students. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Rebecca Natow. Dr. Melissa Melkonian. Implementing the Seal of Biliteracy at the school level, a case study of successes and challenges. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Rebecca Natow. Dr. Andrew John Gladding. Dead Air, understanding the student and administrative perceptions of the value and impact of university-owned FM broadcast licenses. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Rebecca Natow. Dr. Andrew Conley. Perceptions of the influence of a social game-based intervention on the level or quality of students' classroom participation. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Rebecca Natow. Dr. Kerry Jones Gilimbeski. Failure and the disclosure of caring, how middle school Latino boys see themselves in a larger academic community. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Teresa McGinnis. Dr. Elizabeth Genosa, Identity, Social Justice, and the Gay Straight Alliance, the literacy, practices, and identity construction of LGBTQIA+ students in an after-school literacy-based middle school GSA. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Teresa McGinnis. Dr. Kimberly Ann Orner Shapiro, an investigation of first graders' multimodal responses to contemporary picture books. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Jean Henry. Dr. Jennifer Ann Ferrantino, The Making of a Disney Adult, Origin Stories from Adult Disney Fans. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Jean Henry. Dr. Phyllis Saltz, Perceptions of School Leaders Regarding the Promotion of Culturally Responsive Practices. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Alfreda Blue. Dr. Taylor Darling, District-Related Community Stakeholders' Perception of Governance in an Underserved School District. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Eustace Thompson. Dr. Christina Marie Carnovali, Pre-Service Content Area Teacher's Sense of Self-Efficacy Towards ELL Student Instruction. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Eustace Thompson. Dr. Laura Keynes Giraldi, The Influence of Growth Mindset and Transformational Leadership on Instructional Decisions, Supporting Achievement for Economically Disadvantaged Students through Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategies. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Eustace Thompson. Hello. Dr. Cynthia Lynn Viteri, Social Justice-Oriented Social Studies Teachers in the Age of Diverse Concepts. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Alan Singer. Congratulations, graduates.
Good afternoon. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice please stand? President Poser, I have the honor now to present to you these candidates who have satisfied all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Nursing Practice from the Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing and Physician Assistant Studies. I am pleased to join with the faculty in recommending that you confer the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice upon these candidates.
Graduates, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Hofstra University and by the regents of the state of New York, and upon the recommendation of the provost and your dean and faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice. You are now entitled to all of the rights, privileges, and opportunities afforded by your degree. Congratulations.
Will the candidates please come forward, accompanied by their advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating, to be introduced by Senior Assistant Dean Anthony Porcelli, to be hooded by their advisor and recognized by President Poser.
the Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing and Physician Assistant Studies. Dr. Kailan Prasad, the effectiveness of ultrasound as a diagnostic tool compared to dual energy X-ray absorptiometry in bones with induced osteoporosis. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Natalia Anissa Rupnine, quantitative ultrasound texture analysis for the assessment of the fetal lung maturity. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Lauren Noonville, the effectiveness of ultrasound as a diagnostic tool compared to dual energy X-ray absorptiometry in bones with induced osteoporosis. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Sabrina Nugdullah, the effectiveness of ultrasound as a diagnostic tool compared to dual energy X-ray absorptiometry in bones with induced osteoporosis. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Nicole Ann Natali, quantitative ultrasound texture analysis for the assessment of fetal lung maturity. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Silvana Valeria Rivera, quantitative ultrasound texture analysis for the assessment of fetal lung maturity. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Jennifer Denise Meninguez, quantitative ultrasound texture analysis for the assessment of fetal lung maturity. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Mackenzie Lee Hollister, the effectiveness of ultrasound as a diagnostic tool compared to dual energy X-ray absorptiometry in bones with induced osteoporosis. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Michaela Ray Bellissimo, quantitative ultrasound texture analysis for the assessment of fetal lung maturity. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Dr. Adriana Babik, the effectiveness of ultrasound as a diagnostic tool compared to dual energy X-ray absorptiometry in bones with induced osteoporosis. Doctoral advisor, Dr. Stephanie Keating. Congratulations, doctors.
Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Audiology from the School of Health Professions and Human Services please stand? President Poser, I have the honor now to present to you these candidates who have satisfied all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Audiology in the School of Health Professions and Human Services. I am pleased to join with the faculty in recommending to you that you confer the degree Doctor of Audiology upon these candidates.
Graduates, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Hofstra University and the Regents of the State of New York, and upon the recommendation of the Provost, your Dean, and faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Audiology. You are now entitled to all the rights, privileges, and opportunities afforded by your degree. Congratulations.
Will the candidates please come forward, accompanied by their advisors, to be introduced by Assistant Professor of Speech, Language, and Hearing Sciences, Susan Demetropoulos, to be hooded by their advisors and recognized by President Poser.
the School of Health Professions and Human Services. Shannon Quinn, Doctoral Advisor, Dr. Aniruddha Deshpande. Sorry, that was Dr. Shannon Quinn. Dr. Elizabeth Ann Mercado, Doctoral Advisor, Dr. Aniruddha Deshpande. Dr. Kristen Nicole Kazukis, Doctoral Advisor, Dr. Aniruddha Deshpande. Dr. Gwyneth Harrell, Doctoral Advisor, Dr. Aniruddha Deshpande. Dr. Shannon Kelly Contino, Doctoral Advisor, Dr. Aniruddha Deshpande. Congratulations to our doctors.
Congratulations to all of our graduates. Today is our day to celebrate you, the graduates, and you should be very proud of your accomplishments. As we welcome you as the newest members of the Hofstra University alumni, a community of 148,000 strong, we recognize that none of you got to this day all alone. You had the support of family and friends when you needed them. So in the light of this, I ask the platform party and all of our graduates to rise, face the audience, and thank and applaud all the people who are here for you today. Following this commencement, there will be a reception for the graduates, guests, family, and members of the platform party at the David S. Mack Physical Education Complex that's adjacent to this arena. I ask that the audience please remain in their place until the academic procession has left the stage. Congratulations.